The House of Red Silk. In the late years of the Kangxi era, there lived a scholar named Shu, born poor but eager to learn. He traveled far and wide for his studies, often with nothing more than a scroll and a worn coat to his name. One evening, Shu found himself lost on a winding path outside Jinling. A storm was gathering. The trees hissed. The sky grew black. He needed shelter. Just as the first drops fell, he saw it. A lonely house tucked behind bamboo and stone, half hidden by overgrowth. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again. A soft voice called from inside, "Who visits so late?" "I am but a traveler, a scholar caught by rain. May I beg shelter for the night?" The door opened slowly. There stood a young woman, dressed in red silk, holding a lantern. Her eyes shimmered, her features delicate like porcelain. She gave a slight bow and welcomed him in. The house inside was strangely pristine. Oil lamps burned gently. Antique furniture stood untouched by dust. There were no other residents, only her. "I am called Lian," she said. "You may rest here, if you do not mind silence. My household passed on some years ago." Shu thanked her profusely. That night, she brought him hot tea, lit a fire for him, and vanished into her quarters. He could not sleep. He could not stop thinking of her. Days turned into weeks. Shu stayed. He could not bear to leave the house or Lian. She appeared each evening, always in red, always graceful, always gentle. They talked of poetry, music, old dreams. She never spoke of her past. She never asked about his. One night, under flickering lamplight, she placed a red silk sash in his hand. "If you ever leave," she said, "tie this to your heart, and I will find you." He kissed her. They shared a bed, and the next morning, she was gone. Shu wandered the house, calling her name. No reply. Then he found it. A small, unused room in the back, door half rotten, untouched by time. Inside, beneath the dust, lay a coffin, and on top of the coffin, her red sash. His hands trembled. He lifted the lid. Inside was Lian, her skin pale as frost, her red dress unfaded. She was dead. She had always been dead. Shu fled the house, mad with grief and terror. But the world outside had shifted. People told him the house had been empty for 20 years. Lian? A girl murdered on her wedding night, her body never buried. He fell ill, feverish, mumbling her name. His wife found him 3 days later, collapsed in a tavern. Yes, Zhu had married before he left for studies. She was plain, kind, and very much alive. She took him home, nursed him back to health. He never told her what happened, but some nights, when his wife slept, he would find red silk tied around the bedpost. Once, he followed a thread of it to the garden well. He peered in. A pale face stared back up, smiling. Zhu tried to forget. He burned the red silk. He buried his books. He prayed. But forgetting a ghost is not the same as forgetting a person. Lian came back. Not in dreams, but in moments. A hand brushing his cheek when no one was near. The smell of sandalwood in an empty room. A shadow curled at the edge of his wife's silhouette. His wife began to change. Her skin, once sun-kissed, paled. She began dressing in red. She spoke in softer tones, moved with a dancer's grace. She no longer called him by name. She called him darling. One night, she waited in their room, hair loose, eyes shining. "Don't you recognize me?" she whispered. He stood frozen. "You said you'd tie me to your heart." Her voice was Lian's. Terrified, Zhu fled to the local temple and begged the abbot for help. The old monk, wise with years and unmoved by tales of beauty, prepared an incense rite and sacred talisman. They returned at dawn. His wife greeted them with a smile, Lian's smile. The monk lit incense. The smoke curled toward her like a claw. She backed away, snarling. "Why did you leave me?" she screamed, eyes wide, voice now layered, one mournful, one monstrous. "You said we were bound." Her form began to shimmer, the skin flickering between two faces, his wife's and Lian's. The monk chanted louder, striking the floor with his staff. The spirit shrieked, hair whipping, red silk unraveling into ashes. Then silence. His wife collapsed. For days, she lay unconscious. When she awoke, she remembered nothing. But red silk kept returning, in drawers, in her mirror. Once, inside a boiling pot of rice. Xu tried to destroy it again and again. Then, one night, he disappeared. His wife woke to find the bed cold, his scrolls gone, his shoes missing. No one ever saw Xu again. Years later, a traveler passed by the old house hidden in the bamboo. He saw a red ribbon on the door. Curious, he stepped in. Inside, the house looked untouched by time. Lamps burned softly. A man sat at the table writing with a brush. Beside him, a woman in red silk poured tea. They didn't look up. The traveler called out. No answer. When he blinked, the house was empty. Cold, dust-covered, silent. On the wall behind the writing desk, carved into the wood, were 4 words, bound by red silk.